I think she's going to humiliate Harry when she comes because it's going to be the Meghan show. Once again, garnering her reputation as the Duchess of Double Standards. Ooh. This is a woman, JJ, that claims to have hated her time as a frontline serving royal. This is treason. He's in power now, and this is the salami slicing of Brexit. It's death by 1,000 cuts. So Keir Starmer has been the worst Prime Minister in living memory. They face obliteration in May. He likely won't be our Prime Minister by Christmas.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Expresso. I'm JJ Anisiobi, but more importantly, I'm joined by our newest big name signing, Mr. Mark Dolan. Mark, welcome to the show. Mate, you've made the pages.
Well, listen, I'm in your column.
You're my column. New face will certainly make It's Mark on the Expresso. See what I did there?
Bonus to the headline writer. It's a thrill. I can't believe I'm in your column. I don't know how much money I owe you for that, but I'm very grateful. And I'm so excited because I read the Express every day. I watch the Daily Expresso. To be part of this amazing media family is a thrill. I think that it's a brand, the Daily Express and this program on YouTube, that talks to the audience, talks to the reader, talks to the listener, talks to the viewer. And I think that is the future of media now, is connection.
Yeah.
And the other thing that really helps, I know that you live in the real world and I live in the real world.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know about you, but I've got bills.
Yep.
Right? I got a mortgage, which has gone up. I've got credit cards. I've got kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm married, and I think that the more we can use this platform to talk about what's good about the world and what's working, and more commonly, what's not.
Yeah.
And, I think one of the better headlines for me going forward is to call out this Labour government, because I think they've squandered one of the greatest political opportunities in recent modern times with that massive majority. Mm-hmm. And you've got a prime minister that's a lot more left-wing than he claimed that he was going to be before the election.
Yeah.
8 billion quid's worth of tax rises is what the manifesto said. We've had over 60 billion.
Yeah.
Digital ID, creepy dystopian future, George Orwell, 2.0, not in the manifesto. Giving away the Chagos Islands, and of course, tanking the economy. So I'm so excited to have this opportunity to talk to you every week, to call it like it is. And I will say that my appearances on this show are going to be uncomfortable for woke people.
That's what we like to hear.
It's going to be unsafe.
Perfect. Now, you might have noticed I'm not wearing my glasses today, viewers. I've lost my glasses. So if you see me looking at you like this, I'm not smouldering and trying to flirt with you.
You're actually squinting.
I'm actually squinting. I just cannot see properly without my glasses on. But let's start off with...
But you've got vision though, JJ.
Oh,
20/20 vision. I read your column. I agree with every word of it. So just lose the glasses.
Mark, you are our royal executioner. So let's start with your fave, Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
She could be set to make a return to the UK for the first time in 4 years.
Once again, garnering her reputation as the Duchess of Double Standards. Ooh. This is a woman, JJ, that claims to have hated her time as a frontline serving royal. Mm-hmm. She said, "No one ever asks me how I'm feeling." Apparently her mental health was neglected. I don't know what mental health issues there are when you're living in palaces, when you have untold wealth, when you've got priceless art around you, butlers. You don't have to worry, going back to what I said earlier about our viewers, readers and listeners, not worry about a GP appointment or a dentist or the cost of living or turning on that radiator. Uh-huh. Unbelievable privilege. She moaned and groaned about it the whole time. Why? Because she doesn't like ordinary people. She doesn't want to open hospital wings and receive bouquets of flowers from the great unwashed. And yet, in spite of that she hated being a frontline. And by the way, they were all horribly, horribly prejudicial towards her and towards her unborn child. Uh-huh. Wild accusations, unsubstantiated. And yet, she's coming back for more. Make it make sense. And also, she's been very critical of the royal family and the institution of the monarchy. She mocked Queen Elizabeth in the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Mm-hmm. She wants to go straight back into that world. And she wants to come back to a country that had a press that was so cruel to her. Mm-hmm. And so prejudicial and nasty and cruel. Well, no, what the Express did and other fine newspapers and media outlets did is hold her actions to account. She pretended that she was going to be the perfect princess when she arrived. Uh-huh. She knew full well that being a frontline serving public figure wasn't going to be for her. She's a fame-hungry actress.
Ouch.
And I think that it was actually a contract when she married Harry. I do believe he married for love and lust as well. I think he was attracted to her. And I think she seduced him. She won him over. But I think her plan all along was to get him out of there, have control, take him to America. It's what's happened. But so my point is, JJ, that she now wants to come back to the UK. She wants to... The reason she's doing it, her stock value is very low. In the United States, they don't like her. She's one of the least popular American celebrities. All of the big stars and the Hollywood luminaries have turned their back on the Sussexes. What happened to Oprah and Gwyneth Paltrow and the Clooneys and the Obamas, right? Nowhere to be seen, including on her TV show. Even Serena Williams, the amazing tennis player, wouldn't deign to appear on that absolute train wreck of a show with Love Meghan, right? So things are not going swimmingly in America. And therefore, I think that she's coming to the UK to recalibrate her brand and to once again tap into the royal connections. She wants to really flex that Duchess muscle. She wants to be seen as a royal figure. The best way to do that is to come back to England in a kind of quasi-fake royal visit, and she'll get off the plane and she might kiss the tarmac like Pope John Paul, and she'll be handed bouquets of flowers from the public. And so I think what's going to happen, I think Meghan is doing this for branding reasons, that her stock value has dropped in America and across the world. She wants to remind everyone that she's married to the son of the King of the United Kingdom. And the reason why I call her the Duchess of Double Standards is because she apparently, allegedly walked away from all of that. Well, now she's coming straight back in.
Isn't this just to support her husband, though? Prince Harry, with the Invictus Games, is going to do the big countdown clock thing, which he's done before. Surely she just wants to support her hubby. This is great, isn't it? A devout wife.
Meghan Markle. First of all, it's unwise to drink this early in the day, JJ. You've lost both your glasses and your marbles. Off to Specsavers for you. I think that Meghan Markle has been a disaster for Prince Harry, and I think she's a malign influence on his life. You know, I do believe that him being a foolish man with a libido fell in love with an American actress who is, you know, she's a very good-looking woman. She's very charismatic. So I think he fell in love and married for love and lust, but I don't think she did. I think that this was a career move to marry Harry, and I don't think that she's got his best interests at heart. My proof of that is not just kind of a unfounded moral judgment. This is based on her actions, because the moment that she came into his life, she's turned him against his country of birth, against the institution of the monarchy, of which he was very proud and loved his public role, and she's turned him against his own family. And I think that if your partner is somebody that turns you against your mum, your dad, well, of course, late mum Diana in his case, but your father, your brother, your sister-in-law, then you're a malign influence. I think that Meghan Markle is the worst thing that ever happened to Harry, and I think she'll cause further damage when she joins him in the UK this summer. And I think that, you know, the purpose of the July visit is not to support Harry. It's to support her ailing brand. It's to have headlines, to make herself relevant again. And it just demonstrates desperation on her part, particularly because she doesn't care about Invictus. It's not actually Invictus this July. This is a countdown. It's a really insignificant event. There is no reason why she needs to come to the UK for the 1 year kind of it's coming preview.
Yeah.
All right. It's really insignificant. It's not even going to make a column inch in the Express newspaper because it's not a story. So anyway, she's doing it for cynical reasons. And I think she's going to humiliate Harry when she comes, because it's going to be the Meghan show.
You think so?
Because you see, I find it quite interesting, JJ, when Harry came to London in September for that face-to-face summit in Clarence House with King Charles, I will say that Harry, in my view, looked happy for the first time in years.
Okay.
I thought that he had a twinkle in his eye. I think it was the old Harry that, let's not forget, was even more popular than the late Queen Elizabeth II back in the day.
Yeah.
He does like the public. I don't think that he is a snob like Meghan, and I think that he's, you know, grown up in that, you know, royal circles where they understand that a relationship with the public is everything. It's for survival. It's you pay the rent, just like the Queen Mother said during the Second World War. She goes to like bombed out London. It's like, we're paying the rent. She got it. The Queen got it. King Charles gets it. Look at his work ethic.
Yeah.
So, and Harry's still got some of that. And when he's on his own, away from the influence of Meghan Markle, we see the old Harry. We see a happy man who loves the United Kingdom. His heart is here. California is beautiful and they've got an amazing mansion. But what he's got here is the spirit of the people, his ex-military mates, and just that British culture into which he is so,
Interwoven.
Thank you. So I think that when he was on his own, I thought it was a good trip. I thought that overall the Clarence House visit was good news for Harry. Looks happy, meets the public, there's fans around, and he sees his old man.
Yeah.
This time round, he's going to be Meghan Markle's bag carrier, just like he was in New York. Right? He'll be standing behind her, a couple of feet going, "Oh, hello, my love. You're so amazing. We're going to get all this wine through duty free." And that's what she will put him in the shade, because I think she's I believe that she's very competitive with her own husband. Meghan Markle is a very, very driven person.
Yeah.
She's got everything that she needs from Harry now. She's got the royal connections. She's got the title. She's got the fame. And I think that she's got no skin in the game for Harry to be successful or independent. And I think that this project, just like the trip to Paris, just like the TV series, just like all of the Instagram posts that she does, it's about Meghan, Harry a bit part, a spare in his own marriage, and I think we'll see that in July.
Wow. Well, before we move on to another ongoing royal story, let me tell you guys, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. It helps us, but it also helps you see more of us, which is a bonus. Prince Andrew. Actually, he's not a prince anymore, is he? He's just Andrew. Just Andy Mount B. Yeah. So, according to recent reports, he's wiped 30 million quid off Eugenie and Beatrice's inheritance. I'm not sure I believe that. He hasn't got 2 pennies to rub together. But also, surprisingly, there are some Andrew superfans who are defending him, going onto these little chat rooms of things, and they're saying, "Oh, poor Andrew. The British public won't be happy until he's in the pavement begging." Yeah, maybe they won't be. I mean, I don't really have any sympathy for the guy, personally. I don't know how you feel about him, but I couldn't care less what happens to the geezer now.
I've got zero sympathy. He's brought disrepute on the family.
Yes.
He's had links with, a friendship with, one of the most wicked men of recent times, somebody that trafficked girls, vulnerable girls, for the most egregious activities that on a family show we're not even going to go into. Epstein, a very, very bad man.
Yeah.
And Harry, Andrew didn't just have a friendship with him in that context, but even after the prosecution in an American court for those crimes and a brief incarceration, Andrew meets him, apparently to say goodbye. I mean, make it make sense. So yes, I'm not going to defend the guy at all. And I will say that it's been a massive headache. If you look at the twin issues of Megxit, of William's war against his own family, Harry's war against his own family, and then
Freudian slip there.
Yep. Talk about that another time. And then so Harry's war against the royal family, and then Andrew, of course, and his poor judgment. But it's interesting, isn't it? There's a few people sympathetic out there. It's like the women that fall in love with serial killers.
Yes.
Right? And send them like cake in prison and these little like rather erotic pictures of themselves. And then they sort of fall in love with them and get engaged and have love letters. I don't think Andrew is maybe that bad. What I will say, having looked at this story, is there are some superfans out there and they're deluded and wrong. There are others who are saying the guy is guilty of extremely poor judgment, guilty of arrogance, entitlement, and of course the Newsnight interview was a catastrophic disaster, born out of his hubris. That said, he's been found guilty of no crimes. The other concern I've got is in relation to the Epstein files and celebrities tied up with that story. I feel that Andrew has been the fall guy.
Yeah.
And I think that the Americans are weaponizing Andrew, leveraging Andrew to protect their own elite.
Yeah.
I think that Andrew, as I say, I won't defend his friendship with Epstein. He's not a criminal. And could we not have a conversation about Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, one of the most powerful men in the world, supposedly a philanthropist now, but with close ties to Epstein? Why aren't we having that conversation?
Yeah.
Why isn't he being essentially judged by the court of public opinion? Why isn't his career over?
Yeah.
Why hasn't he had to retire to one of his many mansions in shame?
Yeah.
What's the difference? What about Bill Clinton, former US
Bill
president?
Clinton. The Democrats will defend him until they die.
They
It's
will
disgusting.
indeed. This guy used the Lolita Express, which was, of course, Epstein's private jet.
Yeah.
It was a bus service
Yeah.
for Clinton. He lived on that plane.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I make no allegations about Bill Gates or Bill Clinton, but it strikes me that the Americans have a case to answer for some of their own stars, some of their own celebrities, powerful people who have, who definitely have a paper trail that links them to Epstein. And therefore, I think it's unfair. And the reason why they've chosen Andrew is because he can't sue them for libel, because members of the royal family generally tend not to sue for libel.
Yeah.
And we know that his deal with King Charles means keep stum. It's like stop, no more Newsnight interviews, nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that's unfortunate. And I also think that if you look at some of it, it's disproportionate. Why has he lost his license to hold a firearm? Right, he's got a shooting license, of course.
Yeah.
Because what's he got now? All he's got is his hunting, the horse riding,
Yeah.
and driving around a Range Rover. It seems petty that he can't hold a firearm. This is a guy that fought for his own country, and he was, by the way, unlike Harry, a bona fide military hero. He was very brave in the Falklands, and remains a figure who's admired by his ex-military colleagues. So I think let's have this proportionate. He's a fool. I think that he's paid a price, and given the fact that we do have, guilty, innocent until proven guilty, I think that should stand for Andrew too.
Oh, okay. That's pretty measured from you. Well done.
Bit too measured, wasn't it?
Let's move on to another saga, Starmer's Brexit betrayal. So officials in Brussels are plotting to protect a post-Brexit UK-EU reset deal from a future Nigel Farage. So they're going to do this deal to get food through Europe without the red tape.
Yeah.
And they're putting in what is called a Farage clause, so that when Farage inevitably becomes Prime Minister, it's not a sure thing, but it seems pretty likely he'll be the next PM. When Farage is in charge, he won't be able to go and rip up the deal without costing us a whole lot of money.
This is treason.
Treason!
It's treason. It's a Labour government led by a guy that tried to reverse Brexit after 2016 as the shadow Brexit secretary. And here we go again. He's in power now. And this is the salami slicing of Brexit. It's death by 1,000 cuts. It is the metaphor of boiling a frog very slowly, right? The way that you boil a frog is you just heat the water up very gently, and the frog thinks it's in a nice warm bath, and it slowly creeps, and you don't notice the change in temperature. That's what this government are doing with Brexit, okay? It is what we're on now, this government has set us on a path to remain. This government has set us on a path to rejoining the EU. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye. This is just the thin end of the remain wedge. I promise you, because first of all, no government, sitting government, should be able to bind a future government. This strikes me as an act of spite on the part of this Labour government that knows that it's not going to win the next election. They know it's game over. It's a scorched earth policy for the next administration, likely led, as you said, by Nigel Farage. And it won't stop at Brexit. I think that they will do terrible things to the economy. I think that they will essentially, it'll be like an act of arson, a scorched earth policy with spending commitments. I think that they're going to do everything they can to make life as difficult for Prime Minister Nigel Farage as they can, and it starts with Brexit. There's a few other things I'd say, JJ. First of all, Sir Keir Starmer has been the worst Prime Minister in living memory, and that's a view shared not just by those on the right and in the centre, but by his own supporters. It's a guy that has struggled in the top job. It's a guy that's on borrowed time. They face obliteration in May. He likely won't be our Prime Minister by Christmas. So the very cynical, in my view, arrogant and hubristic Keir Starmer will be seeking a legacy. So if he knows he's on his way out before Christmas, then he needs a few things he can say, well, here's what I did when I was Prime Minister. That's, I think, why he'll push on with the digital ID. It's Orwellian, it's dystopian, it's expensive, it's illiberal. It won't stop illegal immigration, but it can be a thing that he did. And I think the other thing that he wants to do is set in motion the wheels of the UK returning to the EU. And he'd like to be the founding father of that, the author of that journey.
Yeah.
He won't get it done between now and his departure from office. But if he can set the wheels in motion, I think that they hate Brexit. The party hates Brexit. The Prime Minister hates Brexit.
And they hate Farage.
And they are suggesting and claiming that this change is in order to improve the trading relationship between the United Kingdom and the EU. Well, first of all, don't buy this customs union nonsense, because 80% of our trade with the EU is not in goods. And almost every big company has streamlined the passage of goods. The car industry hasn't suffered for Brexit at all. Okay,
Yeah.
if you've got a Nissan Micra and it needs a new carburettor, you get it over from Europe next day. So, mostly technology has caught up with the frictions. So this will be a minuscule improvement for those trading with the EU. It will do nothing to GDP. It's all politics.
Yeah.
And it's the same with this tweak now. This is basically the mood music is that we're going back in. And I think that as the economy worsens, JJ, I think that Rachel from Accounts and her leader, Sir Keir Starmer, are going to use the economic crisis that they've created to justify closer ties to the EU. And the issue you got is that every time you dilute Brexit, it makes Remain, or at least going back into the EU, more sensible an idea. And that's their strategy.
Yeah. Well, Farage has not got any time of it in his own party. What should be good news for him today, Nadhim Zahawi has joined Reform. He's defected. But already people are saying, what the hell, this is the 21st, 22nd Tory MP to jump across to Reform. Reform are now officially the Tory Party 2.0.
Well, this is the issue that they've got. They have to have the right Tories. And the test is pretty simple, isn't it, JJ? They just need true Conservatives. And you don't have many true Conservatives in the Tory party in 2026. And therefore, it's a dilemma for Nigel Farage. What he's got to do is balance his desire to destroy the Conservative Party, which would involve welcoming the defections, because that is provably bad news for Kemi Badenoch.
Yeah.
That Nadhim Zahawi has defected. But, if he's got this sort of spiteful hatred of the Tories, that's fine. I think a lot of us do after what they've done to the country.
Yeah.
Boris wave, net zero madness, wokery in our public institutions, an ever-expanding welfare state where it doesn't pay to get up in the morning and put a shift in. I might get that as a tattoo. I might put it to music, but that's what they did, right, in a sentence. So I share his irritation at the legacy of the Tories, but he mustn't allow his hatred of them, his tribal hatred of this party, to cloud his judgment about what Reform UK is going to look like in government. And if it's full of wet, glorified Liberal Democrats calling themselves Conservatives, then we will simply have more uniparty, more continuity.
Yeah.
So it's a big, big problem. But I think on this one, you go case by case, don't you? I think, for example, that Nigel Farage must never accept Boris Johnson into Reform UK.
Of course.
Right? Now, Boris Johnson is one of the biggest names in politics, and it would be a scalp. But that's an example where you say no. The Boris wave, net zero. In my personal view, the COVID overreaction, all on the watch of Boris Johnson. So, you've got to decide. Nigel has to be very careful who he takes and who he doesn't. I can understand why he's taken Nadhim Zahawi, and I'll tell you for why. He is a moderate Tory, which is a red flag for Reform supporters who want change, right? I don't have a party affiliation, but I do want change. I actually don't care who does it, JJ.
Yeah.
I don't care who closes the border and stops the boats.
Yeah.
If Keir Starmer does it, happy days.
Yeah.
I don't think he will. So, but we all want, I think most people want change, whether or notwithstanding their support for reform. But the reform supporters are going to be watching this very closely and very worried. But Nadhim Zahawi he's got a great backstory.
Yeah.
A refugee from Iraq, Baghdad, right? Now, you mentioned before we came on air, you are right to point this out, that he came from quite a minted family.
Yeah.
Father, a successful entrepreneur. I think they did very well in the sort of gold rush after the invasion.
Yes.
So fair play. The guy's maybe had a degree of silver spoonery in his mouth. But what we do know also is that he came to the UK as a young boy, barely spoke English. And he has started several successful businesses, including the massive polling firm, and he's made millions.
Yeah.
So what have you got? What is the story for reform to sell? A refugee that comes to Britain, contributes something, pays tax, builds businesses, invests, employs people, right? The perfect example, the kind of immigration that Britain wants and needs.
Yeah.
And then you've also got the backstory of a man of ethnic background who wants Nigel Farage to be Prime Minister. And so what that does is it puts paid to the imagery of reform as far right, as racist, as prejudice. And the truth is that Reform UK is a multi-ethnic party whose previous chairman, of course, is a British Muslim in Zia Yusuf, but it's not limited to that. And I suspect that if Reform win the election, they will be swept to power on a multi-ethnic vote, because concerns about immigration and about extreme net zero and about wokery are not limited to white people, it turns out.
No, they're really not. Here's some of the things that Zahawi said today in the press conference, and why he's returning, because he retired from politics just in 2024. But now he says that he's basically worried about radical Islam, and says, is there still not a teacher in hiding in Batley? Is there not still an attempt by the CPS to introduce blasphemy laws by the back door? We have a Prime Minister whose first instinct is to trust foreign judges over British people. We have an Attorney General who would take back Shamima Begum. And the only political leader who has spoken up about this, a great personal threat, is the man I'm sitting next to, Nigel Farage. So,
well, I mean, that's really interesting what you said there, JJ, because if he is not seeking a return to Parliament, and of course the big if, well, then he carries huge weight, because what that means is he's come over to Reform for no identifiable personal gain other than the British national interest. So I'll watch that, and we can watch that like a hawk. Does he want to get back into? Does he want to be in a Reform UK cabinet? But if not, then this would just be a case of a fed-up, experienced Tory that says we need change. But either way, so I think Farage has got to look at every case on its merits. But I think that overall, on balance, to have somebody with a backstory like Zahawi's and just take him on good faith that he supports the reform project, then I don't see why not. I mean, you do wonder. You could make a list of Tories that wouldn't be allowed, wouldn't you? Dominic Grieve, David Gauke, right? These people are more left wing than Che Guevara these days.
But equally,
Michael Heseltine, forget it.
I also wouldn't have Suella Braverman though either. I wouldn't have her.
That's interesting.
I would not.
Or Priti Patel, perhaps.
Oh, I'd have Priti Patel. I think she's got a large fan base, Priti Patel. I think she could do
and
well.
Why Priti yes and Suella no?
Priti yes, because I think Priti is more common sense, and I don't think she makes people on either side of the political spectrum angry or annoyed or frustrated. I think Suella Braverman says some things that even people who are on the right end think you're going too far.
So you think she's just a bit out there?
Yeah, I think she's an agitator in the wrong sense of the word. I think she's all about herself, Suella Braverman.
And what is definitely true is that her record in office as Home Secretary is
terrible,
outrageous.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Boris wave and the illegal immigration, was through the roof on her watch.
Yeah.
So statistically, she was the worst Home Secretary.
Yeah.
However, I think, whilst I hear what you're saying about Suella, I think that Nigel would have her in a flash.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do. And I think that she's on 24/7 resignation watch as we speak.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'll tell you who the other one to watch, by the way. I mean, the kingmaker in the end, right? The guy that could absolutely move the dial is Bobby J, right? Robert Jenrick.
Do you think so?
I do. And the reason I say that, now I posted on X about a year and a half ago, Robert Jenrick will defect to Reform UK, bookmark this tweet. I've been down to Paddy Power. But essentially, that is going to be that he'll be pondering that on a daily basis.
I don't think Farage. I think it's more powerful for Farage to say no to Robert Jenrick, because actually we spoke to Nigel Farage on the show. Our very first episode, we spoke to Nigel Farage.
Brilliant episode.
Thank you very much. And we asked him about Bobby, and he said, I don't think so, because a year, 2 years ago, Jenrick was saying all kinds of different things, and then suddenly, as in Nigel Farage's words, he had his moments on the road to Damascus, and suddenly, immigration's bad, crime's bad, it's terrible. It's Jenrick who ended up buying more hotels to put more asylum seekers in. Yeah, that's under his watch. That was his plan. He boasted about it. I've purchased more places to house more immigrants. Okay, well, now suddenly he's changed his mind. I think Farage can see through Jenrick.
That's very interesting. Yeah, it'll be a dilemma for him. That's the big challenge for Nigel. You know, he needs to keep his ego in check, because it would be an ego trip if he accepted the likes of Braverman, Patel, and Jenrick.
Yeah.
But as you say, how would it go down with the base? The biggest offer of Reform UK. Have you noticed every election, all politicians say we're going to bring change, and for the first time in a generation, you've got a candidate in Farage that can genuinely claim to be the change candidate.
Yeah.
Because Rishi Sunak was never the change candidate.
No.
Starmer wasn't. Theresa May wasn't. Cameron wasn't. In fact, I can't think. I mean, the last real change candidate we had. Blair. I think so. I think the figures you got post-war would be Thatcher, Blair, and here we are, 2026. One Nigel Paul Farage.
Yeah, we shall see. Right, let's move on. Donald Trump and Iran.
Who is Donald Trump?
The orange
Can
one.
I quickly Google it? He doesn't. That's not somebody that
Ask
makes.
Alexa.
That's not someone that makes headlines.
Well, the tanned one is considering taking action in Iran. More than 500 people have been killed.
Shocking.
10,000 detained, all because of these demonstrations and protests against Iran's ruling theocracy. And Iran has said, we're ready for war. We're ready for war, but we're also ready for dialogue. Now, realistically, I don't think Iran wants to go to war with the USA and the rest of the world, because we would destroy them. We would destroy Iran. But the people there are calling for Trump to intervene.
Most definitely. Whatever happened to Donald Trump being this terrible monster?
Yeah.
Right. Do you remember before the election, he was going to be Hitler 2.0?
Yeah.
He was going to cancel elections.
Yeah. Take away women's rights.
All of that. And this is a guy that's gone into Venezuela and removed a man that stole an election, who's basically a criminal and incredibly corrupt and a dangerous thug and a gangster. He takes him out. We discussed it on last week's show. And the left-wing leader of the opposition, a woman, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, has offered to share the Nobel Peace Prize with the bad orange man.
There you go.
Okay, this is not someone that is ideologically aligned with the Donald.
No.
And now we've got Donald, the only world leader, offering support to those people in Iran who are seeking freedom from this kleptocratic, authoritarian, overzealously religious regime, which has destroyed a once enlightened, productive, and successful country.
Yeah.
Late 70s Iran, if you look at footage.
Yeah, I've seen the
of
pictures.
Iran, and women are free. They're not wearing, I mean, if they want to cover their heads, no problem.
It looks like any European city.
It really does.
Yeah.
And they had an economy. They had amazing education, universities, authors, artists, great culture, and economy and businesses. So, you know, this is what happens. You know, autocratic regimes come in. And in this case, a theocracy, an absolutely ruthless theocracy that, let's not forget, murdered a woman for not wearing a covering on her head by the so-called, what kind of police was it? The moral police or something?
Yeah, morality police,
the morality police. So it's great news that Donald Trump has got their back, these people. And this is a president, by the way, that had those strikes on a nuclear target in Iran before the Gaza deal, which I think paved the way for that Gaza deal because it weakened Iran. And as I said to you last week, anything that China don't like, anything that Russia don't like is good enough for me.
Yeah.
So I think that it's shocking what's happened in Iran. We need to talk about it. It's difficult to talk about it because you can't find anything about it on the BBC, who have gaslit the people of Iran. And I had Sally Jones on, who's a former BBC star and journalist. She knows her onions. And she said on my Talk TV show that the reason why the BBC haven't covered it is because it doesn't fit their narrative. Because this is an autocratic Islamic regime which has made life a misery for its citizens.
Yeah.
And that doesn't fit the BBC's rather what can I say, pro-Islamism ideology. And I only say that, I don't say that lightly. I can paraphrase Danny Cohen, who's the former director of television of the BBC, who's described the corporation as institutionally anti-Semitic. And he's accused in the Daily Telegraph newspaper, the BBC, of repeating Hamas propaganda during the Gaza war.
Yeah.
And now you've got a discredited Islamic religious regime, which is falling, and nothing, not a squeak. And there are lots of people. John Cleese has been on X furious about the coverage. So anyway, it is happening, and there is an uprising. Those people are being very brave. You mentioned 500 deaths. It could be more because, of course, they've shut down the media, they've shut down social media, and they've actually even managed to block the Starlink, which, of course, Elon Musk was responsible for providing. Another bad man that's done a lot of good for the world, by the way.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that it's a moment. It's a political moment for Trump. If he can offer sufficient diplomacy to the people who are standing up against the regime, if that regime falls, it will be good news for the world. And to see the leader of the free world, Donald Trump, leverage his influence is going to be a great thing. I mean, look what Trump's done, right? America have, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, he's a very flawed human being. I don't think I think he makes stuff up.
Yeah.
I think he's full of BS a lot of the time, right? Hyperbole. He was going to end the war in Ukraine in 11 hours or something, wasn't it? We'd wake up the next day, it would all be done. But in spite of the hyperbole, I look at the actions. They have military power. And what he's done, America has military strength. He's used that strength with those strikes on Iran and by threatening Hamas with basically living hell if they don't do a peace deal. He's been firm on Ukraine. I think there will be a deal this year against the best wishes of Vladimir Putin, using American power. He's had political power, which is why he's tackled wokery in America's public institutions and got rid of DEI. And he has diplomatic power, which he's leveraged all over the shop. So I think in the end, this regime will fall. And I think it's great to see America foursquare behind that. And, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? All the lefties who have gone very quiet about Iran, because it also doesn't really fit their narrative at all. And I think that this will, do you know something? For the first time in many years, I'm feeling more optimistic about the world than I have in a long, long time.
Really? And that's down to Donald J. Trump.
Well, yeah, and not exclusively, of course. But what he's doing, America has power. I mean, look, if you look at even, the economy side, America has a powerful economy, and he's leveraging that. He's improved the terms by which America trades with the world, the tariffs. They had 4.4% economic growth in the last quarter. Rachel Reeves can't get that in a year.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how it all plays out. By the way, there's a lot of talk, isn't there, about what America would do in terms of going into Iran. And I think, JJ, that it's not going to be boots on the ground, and I don't think it's going to be airstrikes. I think what you're looking at, you see, Donald Trump, right? His bark is worse than his bite. I think you'll have a lot of bellicose statements. I think it'll be jamming signals, and I think there'll be the cyber warfare. I think will be deployed, and I think he'll do what he can to get Starlink back up and running again. And then he'll just, as we all will, any right-thinking person, we will just be praying that the people of Iran are able to overthrow this regime. And don't forget that they're telling people that we'll kill you if you protest. So what it means is if Iran is going to be free, people are going to have to give their lives, which is the most devastating scenario.
Which is what we're seeing at the moment. These brave Iranians going out in the streets and protesting, and the soldiers shooting at them, and people are still running down the streets in protest. It's devastating, but it's extremely admirable of those people to give their lives for the freedom of everyone else.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Let's touch on BBC, because they're at it again. I know you're no stranger to slamming the Beeb, and here's something for you to slam them about. 63 million quid has been earmarked to cover the cost of taxes.
For God's sakes.
BBC, are they treating licence fee payers' money as an open tab, Marky Mark?
Yeah, I would say taxi for the BBC. It's game over. Over 60 million quid. It's wild. How many employees in normal companies watching this show and reading the Daily Express get a cab to work?
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Or a cab home.
Yeah.
Now, what I will say, and I think it's not controversial, is that if you work somewhere and you finish at 11:30 midnight, particularly a female employee, I think that it's only right that perhaps they get a cab home. I think it's just a basic safety thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most companies try to provide that provision. But for the BBC to be ferrying around celebrities at 2 p.m. in central London is wild.
Yeah.
And for senior management, they shouldn't have any chauffeur-driven cars.
No.
They're already on 6-figure salaries for doing nothing.
Yeah.
And except commissioning shows that no one watches. And what it demonstrates, JJ, is, and it's the same, I'm afraid, the big issue across the public sector. Right? And don't get me wrong, I don't want to privatise the NHS. I believe in the state providing services. Okay, but when it's not their money. They treat it very differently.
Yeah.
And you do see that in the NHS with the waste. And you see it in the police service. You see it in education. And you see it at the BBC. You know, and the money that they are swimming around in. So it's about 3.5 billion from the license fee, which is an obligatory tax if you want to switch on your telly. The old ladies threatened with prison for not coughing up. They also make about 2 billion from their commercial enterprises. And so they've got around 5 billion.
Yeah.
And that is an enormous amount of money. That why, therefore, the license fee payers are coughing up for these taxis. Why don't they cut their budgets and take it out of the money they've already got? And why don't they make sure they could say that this taxi income is going to be it's going to come from our commercial enterprise from selling formats, but it won't come from what we need to know. That one, it's 180, isn't it, from April? £180 is a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And at the BBC, they don't think of 180 as a huge amount of money. No. Because they're all middle-class Islington types.
Yeah.
We know them.
Yeah.
We've worked with them, right? And they are, they're out of touch. They're in a bubble. They're in a woke bubble. They think, open borders is lovely and, net zero is going to save the planet. And all of this contested ideology that they're in the pocket of.
Yeah.
And it's money no object for them. So no, I mean it's a scandal, and anyone that sees those statistics is going to be reluctant to pay the license fee. Let's not forget they're missing about £1 billion worth of income in the last calendar year from people that have stopped paying the license fee.
And more will continue. More people will do that. Yeah.
And I think we have a debate, is it fit for purpose, the license fee? Well, it's going to cancel itself at some point.
Yeah.
Because so few people will pay for it.
Yeah.
Do you need the license fee to watch the Daily Expresso?
No, you do not.
Did we get a cab here today?
We did not.
No. And if we did, would we make our viewers pay for it?
Absolutely not. Mark, that is all we've got time for today, mate. You've rattled through those. Bloody fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
You're very kind. Look, I'll come back in 5 years and you test me on everything I said. Let's see how it aged.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for watching. You can find the Daily Expresso on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Bye-bye for now.